Morning, Steph. How's it going? Did you survive Lecce last night?
Survived. Yeah, survived. Survived
A
Lecce.
win. A win.
A
Wow.
win. A win. That's the important thing. But yeah, survived. Hopefully keeping the winning streak going forwards. But yeah. It was tough watch though. It was tough watch. There are times where I was rooting on Lecce at some point, specifically Rebic when he came off the bench. But yeah, all good. How you been? You're right.
I'm good. Yeah, like we were saying earlier, sun shining here in the UK. Vibes are good. That's not Milan related. So yeah, not fine. Yeah, all good, mate. But as we were discussing, I think there's been a lot of doom and gloom. I mean, that's kind of our season in a whole. But to try and be a bit more positive about it all, we thought let's do a little bit of a time capsule. So we're going to talk about some top tens, top threes. We'll start off with like our sort of top three favorite players of all time, and then we'll go from there. Maybe talking about top moments, top three moments in the last 10 years. Pre-Champions League, I suppose, and then a few wacky ones as well. So I'll start straight away, Steph, with that. Give me your top three players. Maybe start with number three in a Milan
Oh,
jersey.
oh. Um,
It's a big question. Try
yeah.
and make this rapid fire as we can.
Yeah, like, I think for me, I always try to kind of not go for the obvious players. It's like I
Mm,
don't go for the obvious, but I also don't go for the obvious ones. Like for me, it would be like, so easy to pick like three iconic players. For me, it would be Maldini, Shevchenko, and Kaká. Um, and then like there's people that I kind of enter my trail of thought in this
mm.
question from time to
It's
time.
your
I
list,
mean,
though, Steph. It's your list. So
yeah, it's my list. Yeah, so I mean, look for me. I'm gonna go for at number three. Oh, it's difficult. I'm gonna go for Gattuso. Um, yeah, I'm gonna go for Gattuso at number three. To be honest, like he is kind of like number one in a way, but then I always like deep it, and I'm like, nah, he's got to be three because obviously, like, he's not known for his moments. But yeah, so Gattuso at number three. He had the Grinta. He had my favorite shirt number, which is number eight. Um, he was like, I don't know. I watched Milan play at a time, specifically growing up when he was obviously probably the least technically gifted player on
mm,
the pitch from a
mm.
Milan perspective, and
Yeah,
didn't get
definitely.
a lot of goals. Obviously, his role was very simple: win the ball back, give it back to players like Pirlo and Seedorf and Kaká to create. But something about that, like him being a soldier, I loved, and I don't know, it resonates quite a lot for me. Specifically, when I played whenever I try to play football, I was always trying to kind of replicate what he did. I wasn't sort of after the glory. I was more for how do I win the ball back,
Mm, mm.
specifically like in transition and taking on the best players. Like something like that for him, he was just like iconic for me. So Gattuso has got to be there at number three. How about you?
That's a great choice. That is a great choice. My 3 and 1 is a bit similar to you. I could put my play at three. I'm leaving him for one. Um, my number three. Oh God, this is tough because I'm like you. I don't really want to pick Sheva. I don't really want to pick Kaka or Maldini. Like the players like Baresi, although I know they were so legendary, it's a bit before my time to be able to be fair and be like, yeah, I watched Baresi play. Like, I didn't, you
Mm.
know. Um, God, this is tough, isn't it? I go with my third. I know we didn't have him for a long period of time, but he was one of the few players that we bought when he was at the top of his game. Incredible international and one of the most winningest players, if that's a term you've ever used. And I loved his style. I still think there hasn't been a player that comes close to him in an ability. I don't want to hear people here to say Trent Alexander-Arnold. So you know who I'm going to say is Cafu.
Mm, mm,
Absolutely loved the way Cafu played. I can't think of a right back that was able to be technical, take on players, powerful, cross the ball, score in big moments, and was pretty much always available. So
mm.
I've got fond memories of Cafu, even though we didn't have him for a long period of time. I can't think of many players that we actually bought, even back then, because we had a lot of homegrown talent. We
Mm.
didn't buy that many players that were at the top of their game, like Cafu was for Roma, and just brought them in.
Yeah.
So yeah, Cafu for me, number three. What a player! I don't think a right back comes close to him. Unbelievable.
No, he was top tier. I mean, this is the thing. We're probably going to answer the question more so specifically in the lens of that 2000s team, because probably our age not being at the point where remembering
The
some
90s or
side
whatever, yeah, or 80s even.
other than the likes of obviously the people that kind of still were in the team from that point, like
Mm.
Maldini and Costa Curta. But and then equally some of the newer players of the last decade. You know, the team that won the Scudetto in 2000 and was it 2011? It was a short-lived sort of moment, so it's quite hard to
Mm.
also put them in
Mm.
your best players of all time, because obviously then what happened after that, and equally the league title that was won a couple of years back too. It's like, you know, it's so sometimes I feel like when you answer this question, it's always from a consistent spell and era, which is quite interesting, because equally when I think of my number two, for me, and like I said, I really do want to put. I am going to put one of Kaká and Shevchenko as my number one, and I'm going to flip a coin when I answer that question. And I can probably give you a different answer of my top three whenever you ask
Mm.
me. But for me, at number two, is going to be Nesta, because I grew up specifically, also getting into the team, and watching it religiously when we just signed Nesta. He was in his prime, and then equally, you know, was there from when he won the league, when he won the Champions Leagues with us,
Yeah.
and then equally when he won the league title towards the end of his career as well, and kind of seeing his, you know, him shifting between sort of his prime and you know, I remember just going to school and everyone talking about, oh yeah, Nesta. I'd always put them in my, you know, master. What was the thing, master thing in Pro Evo, when they always buy Nesta.
Yeah, yeah.
Master League, I think it was called, or equally like Football Manager. They'd always buy Nesta off us, like any other sort of like rival fan with their teams that they're trying to sort of build up. So he was just like the GOAT when it came to like as a centre back. It's like so
Mm.
classy. I also think like there's a bit for me that because he was, I remember the 2006 World Cup when he was starting with Cannavaro on the group stage and he got
Mm.
injured, and essentially Materazzi took his place, and then he didn't really kind of
Yeah.
get a look in
Don't.
after that. Like there's something there, even though he won a World Cup with Italy, like he wasn't known for being one of the icons in that side. It was kind of
Yeah.
Aaron Materazzi. So I think he kind of like, he still sticks to me like as he's like
Mm.
his
Mm.
success is symbolized from Milan, and
Mm-hmm.
obviously a bit
Mm-hmm.
from Lazio too, but like from Milan specifically. And then just yeah, I'll never forget like that. There is this clip where he just tackles Messi when he's dribbling on the ball, and we're talking about Nesta at like 34 years, 35
Yeah, I
years
think it's
old.
35. I think he was. Yeah, he was
Oh,
getting on. Yeah.
just like such a professional and classy centre back. And
The term Rolls Royce
yeah,
defender.
yeah,
He
yeah,
he
yeah,
for me, I think he defines that
yeah,
term.
yeah.
Yeah.
And like even to the point where like Thiago Silva wouldn't have been the defender he was with it, what if
No,
it wasn't for the tutelage
agreed.
for Alessandro Nesta. So yeah, Nesta for me, and fuck me, he was a good looking guy as well. So yeah, he was yeah. He was just like he's so envious. I mean, like, yeah, it was weird. It was kind of like Maldini 2.0, if you kind of think about like, you know,
Mm.
everything about like Italian, the look,
Molded more in the centre
class.
back, but
Yeah, like so yeah,
proper
and
defender.
it's quite hard because I would like to slap Maldini in here, but this is also the reason. Like I saw Maldini towards the end of his career, more
Mm.
so watching Milan religiously, and
Mm-hmm.
don't get me wrong, still a fantastic player, but you know, I wish I kind of was about 5 to 10 years younger and watching him in his prime, and that
Mm-hmm.
equally would have been probably the best player of all time for me, for Milan,
Yep.
let alone. But yeah,
What a player! And again, like the Cafu example for my three, he was another example of a player we signed at the top of his game from a winning
mm,
team.
yeah,
We didn't do many of those, and they're probably two of the examples, both Rome clubs that were successes, which is great. My twos, I've got to pick someone from the Banter era. I have
go
to.
on, then, yeah, go on.
Um, and he's not the best player, but I loved him because he honestly, for me, he was a shining light during a really dark period, and it's Jeremy Menez.
How
I
many?
fucking loved
Yeah,
Menez.
yeah, yeah,
I
yeah,
seriously loved him,
yeah,
and I'm convinced if he was a player today
yeah.
in our team, I think he'd be one of our best players.
Yeah,
I've
yeah.
been thinking this for a while. I've never seen such a nonchalant attitude. He's a
Mm,
bit like Leao in that, but I
mm,
feel like he visibly cared a bit more. I don't know, but his technique was just silly, a bit like Philippe Mexes in the
mm.
sense like just scored really crazy goals. But he was a real shining light for me during the really dark time,
Oh yeah, yeah,
we
yeah,
had.
yeah.
Um, I think who did we sign him from? We signed him from a pretty unknown.
That was from Roma, no?
league. Was he from Roma? I think
Yeah, I think it was free
he had what?
transfer from Roma.
It was then
Yeah,
where he was before that. Then he was fairly unknown. It wasn't. I don't think he was a big.
I can't remember. He came from France, I believe, or something like
Yeah, he
that.
did. I think it was either League Deux. I think it might have been League Deux. But
I
anyway,
want to say maybe like he either went to or came from Auxerre. I can't remember now, but yeah. To your point, yeah.
so arguably I should have had Cafu and Menez switch, but because I didn't watch Cafu as much, anywhere near as
Mm.
much as I had Menez, I can't quote. So I'm trying to
Mm.
go for a slightly
Yeah,
different list
different
here,
lens.
as you guys could miss as imagine. But yeah, I loved Menez. What a player! What a player!
Yeah,
And the kits he wore, I remember him in the Centenary kit. I just loved him. I just loved him.
yeah,
I don't know how else to describe it. He was just a player
yeah,
that
yeah.
I don't even know how many goals he scored. He must have scored about
I
40
think
odd.
he got over double digits in that one season. I think he probably got around like 16 in that one. The problem was that season, I'll never forget. It was probably one of the worst seasons when you think about
Yeah.
how we played, because like Inzaghi was in charge. It was like the player talent pool was so shit.
Mm.
Like he was supported by like Kazuki Honda and like you know what I mean. It was the banter era in its prime, and
Yeah.
it was like
Yeah. Exactly.
like what was his
I
name?
always loved him. I always
Oh,
thought like he might do something, and I
oh,
didn't have many moments like that where a player
yeah.
was like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, technically he was great. He
He
was
was,
great.
yeah.
Yeah, that goal against Palma was
Mhm.
something else. Something else. But
So yeah, Menez is my semi-serious second
fair
pick.
play, fair play. Yeah, look, and I think if I kind of look back at the banner era, I do kind of there are players like from each season you kind of pull out and you go like, you
Mm.
know what? They were that shining like right now we're looking at this season and we're going like, all right, it's a shit season. It's somewhat resilient. Um comparable to the Banter season, and you pull out who are the shining light players, and you go like, all right, Reinders and Pulisic, yeah,
Yeah.
and then those are the positives you can pull out. Very similar to like back in that time, it was Menez that season. I think it was the season after with Seedorf in charge. I think Tarapt was probably the shining
Yeah.
light from that season, and sorry, the season before Menez as well would have been El Shawari. So like, it was just kind of like there are bits where like I think favorite players are sometimes also come from like it's such a desperate
Really
time,
dark times, yeah.
and then you're like, you're saving our asses in that, which kind of gets me onto my last player,
You're number one.
my number one, and I'm not going to go down the Bandera route,
No, no,
um,
me neither.
but but and it's hard because I really love Kaka. I've got a signed shirt with him in mum and dad's place still. I used to record videos for SempreMilan religiously, but like Kaka could equally easily be this number one for me. But I'm gonna go Shevchenko because that was at the time, and it's kind of comparable to Nesta when I really started religiously watching Milan. Sheva was like the hero. He was in his prime,
Mm.
scoring goals every game. And when I say hero, he was literally, he was just kind of pulling us out of like sometimes some really bad situations. I'll never forget. I think he came off the bench against like we're playing Lazio, I think in the cup or something like that, Torino. I can't remember who it was now, and I'm pretty sure he scored like a free kick from long distance range, and we were 1-0 down. So like, and then he just scored so many goals. Like you could always like hang your hat on him.
Yeah.
Just really like just taking us there when it comes to the league or the Champions League. And he equally had periods of time, specifically in the latter 90s, where Milan wasn't so successful, and he was our sort of shining light through
Yeah.
those bad seasons. And then it's actually quite fitting because he did say something about that I think like last week in an interview, going like, we suffered at times too, but you have to look around as a group and unite and get through it. So as much as we love to talk about some of these players who are iconic and were there at that
Mm.
massive consistent era, they did have to come through a period of turbulence in the sort of that latter 90s period, in that
Mm.
transitional phase. So yeah, I mean, Shevchenko for me, just iconic. I used to go to school saying he was better than Thierry Henry, especially in London. It's quite, I used to get my fucking head screwed. Like how could he be better than Henry? I was like, no, he is, like, for me, like the best striker in the world. Like, yeah, man.
And he played on the wing. They're actually very comparable. That's a really good.
Yeah,
That's a really good one. He played on
yeah.
the wing as well.
So Sheva, man, is number one for me.
What a choice. Before I tell you my number one, who do you think I've got on the back of this shirt? What shirt am I wearing today?
You're wearing. That's the. That's the. hold on. That's the first season after. I think it's the first season after we sold all the players and shit like that. I think you got Stefan Ashwara in the back of that.
Oh no! Try again. It's a
Okay.
legend. It's the last kit this player ever wore for us after returning.
After returning.
Hmm I think he came back for one season or half a season. I think it was a full season. I'm pretty sure it was.
Oh, Kaka.
Yeah, Kaká.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
Kaká's not my number one choice.
Yeah.
Although
Yeah.
he should be now. I'm wearing the shirt, but
Oh
uh,
yeah. That's the season. Yeah, he came back on loan.
yeah, he did. Yeah,
Was
I
it
think it
maybe a loan
was.
deal?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think it was a loan deal just before.
We
Yeah,
got spanked by
yeah,
Atletico Madrid. Yeah, I remember
and
that. Yeah.
Arsenal as well. I think it was
Yeah.
as well. Anyway, no, my player's Inzaghi, Filippo Inzaghi.
Mm.
Always, the goals that guy scored has won us Champions Leagues, and I think that I've never seen because when like you were going back to Gattuso, I play football and I've never been technical. I can't really dribble. My
Mm.
passing's a bit crap, but I'm sort of like really well positioned. I'm always in a good position, and
Fox in the box.
I've always taken that
Yeah.
inspiration from Inzaghi.
Mm.
Obviously, there's that famous Alex Ferguson quote, but again, a player that we took from a rival team in Juve, Italian national. He was a starting striker at the time as well. I don't think he was destined for great things at Milan,
Mm.
and he was just unbelievable. I think he was a bit like Sheva, not as good a player as Sheva. I wouldn't say that. Obviously, didn't score as many goals as Sheva, but he scored in the big games. Literally every big game Inzaghi scored in.
Yeah.
He didn't take on players. He didn't, bang goals from 50 yards out. He didn't do anything
Yeah.
like that. But he got the goal in the back of the net when it
Yeah.
mattered.
Yeah.
And for me, if you look at football being a results-based game, I would want a player like Inzaghi on my team
Yeah.
every single match if I could have it. I don't think anyone can replicate that. I can't think of a modern player that's like that either.
Nah, he made a mockery of the offside trap, innit?
It's
But
just a joke. I mean, forget VAR these days. Let's not. Let's not. Let's
yeah,
not think
yeah.
about
No,
that.
it's a question of would his game translate necessarily to the modern game?
Mm.
Probably
There's no
not.
one
No,
like him. But
no.
there's no
But
one like I can't
yeah.
imagine. He wasn't particularly fast.
Nah,
It
he wasn't
just
particularly strong either. He was just
no.
kind of quite like a wily sort of centre forward, and he just knew. I think he just kind of, to your point, just positional play was probably his IQ of the game. There was
That's
yeah.
exactly. I think actually why another reason why I think Inzaghi is quite pertinent these days is because he I think epitomizes what we lack. He's the
Mm,
sort of player that will concentrate for 90 minutes, knowing that if he just gets that one chance, he'll bag
yeah,
it.
yeah,
But he'll concentrate the whole game waiting for that opportunity. We don't
yeah,
have that right now. We don't have
yeah,
players like that. So
yeah,
yeah, for me, Filippo Inzaghi. I've met the bloke a couple of times. I think
yeah.
he's obviously as a manager not great, but as a
Yeah,
player,
yeah, yeah.
what a
But
player! What a
yeah,
player!
he's got an arsehole of a brother as well. But yeah,
Yeah,
he's I'll never forget that. Was it the last goal in
yeah.
was it against Novara or something? I can't remember. And
He came from behind. He came off from the bench, didn't he?
yeah, and he scores, and then he just goes ape shit.
Yes, and
He'll
his
score
celebrations. It's just
the tap in would just be he just totally poked it in, and he's just it's the best goal ever.
But I
I
love
love
that. But I love that. I
yeah, I
absolutely
love
love
that.
that. There's something about obviously Sheva, no contest, Kaká in terms of ability, and Maldini, whatever. But for me, Inzaghi was something else. I just don't think there'll be a player like him in the way he is.
Yeah. He's a moment in time player.
Yeah.
I don't think you'll ever see a player very similar to him then, and also as successful. So yeah, good shout, man. Good shout. I do love Inzaghi. Oh, there you go then. That's our
What
top
we what
three.
Well, before we round this one up, what do you
Mm,
think of my dad's actually off to go to watch the rugby today at the Six
mm.
Nations, England, Italy, and he's wearing my top. He looks great. Sorry, guys. I hope Italy wins for the first time ever against England. Anyway, I digress. Obviously, we want to know what you guys think in the comments, but we want to do a fun one. Actually, I think it
Mm,
was from yesterday's watch log that someone commented this, didn't they, about shirt numbers? I think it's quite a funny one.
mm.
Which is your which is your favorite stupid shirt number? So player and the number it belongs to, because we've had some crazy numbers.
Yeah. Well, a question was during a watch along. I thought it got me thinking. It was who was your favorite who's the best player who has the worst shirt number?
Yeah,
Um,
great.
so is that, or equally, I guess, like, what's your kind of like? Because then I was like, oh, how do you want me to answer that? Kind of like, are you? Because then I'm like, what are my particular favorite shirt numbers? And I'm a traditionalist. I love like sort of
Yep.
1 to 30 when it comes to shirt numbers, specifically 1 to 11.
Hmm.
And then like, do I answer the question and going like, how the fuck is someone like Emerson Royale wearing Kaka's number 22? It's like, so there's stuff like that. So then I thought, okay, just ignore that and just kind of answer the question more so with the traditionalist mindset of like
Hmm.
numbers that I usually love. And then like, I think what really annoys me is when players pick sort of like
Yeah, I've
80
got
and
a great
above.
answer for this.
Like,
Yeah.
yeah. So like, unless there's a story behind it. So I
Yep.
looked at the current squad and I was like, yeah, why the fuck is Ricardo Sotil wearing number 99? Why is Tammy Abraham wearing number 90? Why is João Felix wearing number 79? Could you not just pick a normal fucking number?
Hmm.
Um, yeah, I mean, Kessie as well. I think there was a story behind his one, wasn't it? Wasn't it like seven? No, what was his one?
Kessie 79 as well.
Was it 79?
Yeah, it was 100%.
Yeah. Um, Salamaker's 56. Like there was just some fucking random
Got
ass
to pick
number.
one.
Pick one. Uh,
There's quite a few, I think. It's a good question. I like this. Gets people thinking.
wasn't I really fucking hated Ronaldinho wearing number 80.
That, you know what, you've taken my answer, but I've got another one. But do
I
you know
re-
what? But that's the year
yeah.
he was born. That's why he wore that.
I know,
Why?
but and
It's
I know
dumb.
Seedorf had the number 10, and I know they were
Yeah,
like, but it was like we signed him, yeah. And I've got a Ronaldinho shirt at,
yeah.
when we, I think from like 2010 on a away shirt, and I'm like, oh, some dead ass number, man, on the back of this for such an iconic player. Like,
Yeah.
there's not much you can do about that, I know, but like it's like still shit, like, but. And then you got like someone like Musa wearing it now. It's like
That's what I was about to say. That's what makes it worse. It's like you've gone from Ronaldinho, who I don't think he made the number iconic, but he had a reason
no.
for it. And it's Ronaldinho, but now you got Musa wearing it, and it's just like, oh my god,
Oh.
bro.
Who else can you think of?
Mine's quite an easy pick actually, because I think it epitomizes the player that he was, and I think he picked it for just being because he's a twat, and that's Cassano wearing 99.
99, yeah.
Yeah, I just remember that, and I think,
Oh.
what a dick, man. And I think he picked it like maybe he played with Balotelli. I'm pretty sure. Am I right in saying that? I'm almost certain they played together.
Nah, it would have been different
No, they
times.
didn't.
It was
Yeah, maybe
different
they
times.
were. I had a
Yeah.
feeling that they did because I think Ballo had 90, not 99, or something like that.
Yeah.
But yeah,
They
Cassano
played each other
99.
during in the national team
Yes.
when Ballo came to ours, and then Cassana was
But yeah, just
I can't remember.
Ricardo Sotil now joining the Cassano 99 club is just
Yeah.
funny. So yeah, Cassano 99 because I had a lot of hope,
Yeah.
as you would appreciate as an Italian national fan,
Mm.
a player like Cassano with like Balotelli with so much ability, but
Mhm.
obviously he's worse than Balotelli. I think he's actually not a nice person, and
Yeah.
also he's such a dick.
Yeah.
Such a shame because I had so much excitement. Like
Yeah.
no one for me breathes the 5-star skills, if you like, on FIFA more than Cassano did back in the day.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, he was
But
key for us winning the league back in the day.
he was. It's just
Yeah.
such a good player.
It's
He's
just
got
an
the brain
arsehole,
of a
yeah.
donkey. He's got the brain of a donkey. Like
Another
absolutely
another player I think of when it comes to this, I said this last night, was I don't like how Mike's wearing the number 16.
16.
Yeah. I like, once again, I'm a traditionalist with shirt numbers.
Yeah,
Can we just have a starting keeper that's going to pick the number one?
number one. Yeah,
Is
I
it that
know.
fucking hard? And like Donnarumma wearing number 99, it's fine because he came from like, this is like Primavera thing. Like I get it. And I know Mike wore like 16, I think, at Lille, but like it's like you're a keeper, and it should be like your
Yeah,
aspiration to wear that shirt, and it's not like as if it's taken up.
yeah.
And
You're number one on the team sheet for a reason.
yeah,
Do you know what I mean?
and
Yeah.
then you got to then have to have like, I don't know, like fucking keepers. Like I'm trying to remember who's worn it over the years now, but like,
Oh, I've got a list here actually. I can tell
ah,
you. Do you know who? Andrea Poli, Mathieu Flamini. I'm just thinking of ones that I know off the
what?
top of
Oh,
my head.
Oh, no, that's
Oh,
what about.
16.
I'm talking about number one.
Oh,
Like,
number one.
yeah, yeah. Like,
Oh my
what
God.
keepers have worn number one because of
Oh, the
the shirt
Romanian
being
legend Tatarusanu.
Sano, yeah. And Like
Dida,
Abiati as
obviously.
well was one where but then I understood it because he wore 32. Like Dida was around, he wore number 1, and then
Yeah.
obviously he just kept the 32. But then it was like, even then it was like, I remember like Agazzi came and we gave him the number 1, and you're like,
Yeah.
why are these scrubs getting like the number 1 shirt? It's like, can one of you just kind of like make your, like, can it be serious with your life, take the shirt, you're number 1 for us, you know? Like, it's why, like, Liao could have gone, all right, I'm stick a 17 because it's my lucky number. It's like, no, he was like, I'm gonna take number 10 because it's
It's
number 10.
iconic. Yeah.
It's iconic.
It's
Like, yeah, like that's really like kind of annoys me
it's dumb,
sometimes.
isn't it? It is dumb.
But
Yeah, we want to know what you guys think. Your favourite players, your top 3, and also I'm sure there's loads of numbers of players that just make no sense that we've missed out on. But that's a fun exercise amidst all the. It's not even chaos; it's apathy that we're currently feeling of just like
fed
season's
up,
over,
fed
fed up,
upness. Yeah,
fed
yeah.
upness. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Any closing thoughts, Steph?
Nah, nothing really. I'm sure we might get hounded in the comment section for some of our top 3 picks, but like I said, it's personal to yourself. You might have players. Some of the comments I got back from when we kind of went through this yesterday on the stream was pretty interesting. Some players from the 90s. Some people were fond of like Boban and yeah, and like, and if you're newer to the club and you've only seen us through the banner, or you may have only seen players like Menas and I don't know, like, you know, El Shaarawy or Bonaventura. Like those are iconic players still for me too. But yeah, I guess everyone's opinion is different on this one. So yeah, just throw them in if you have got any different options.
Yeah, there's lots to choose from. Lots and lots to choose from. Brilliant. Well, we're going to go out and enjoy the sun. I hope you guys have a lovely Sunday. For those listening, thank you as always for tuning in. And I guess we'll see you next week. Hopefully for another W.
Hopefully. Hopefully. Ciao, ciao.
Cheers, guys. Ciao.